Alright guys, welcome to my channel. Guys, so Dr. Ngozi Orabueze delivers her commemoration speech to all Biafrans around the world. And I can tell you that giving this woman the leadership of Biafran from the onset, the decision that actually put her in this position by Simon Ekpa wasn't a bad decision. So I want you guys to pay attention to everything she said in this particular video, and you understand that, of all that we've been seeing, as a matter of fact, she has all the leadership convictions, capacity, all the qualities, and she's able. Just listen to what she said in this particular video. And just in case you're first time you're meeting us, please don't be in a hurry to leave. Just hit on the subscription button like right there, and also turn on the post notification bell for more updates from this channel.
Were cut short, whose dreams were buried beneath the soil of the land that has endured far too much sorrow. These were not ordinary lives. They were lives offered, knowingly or unknowingly, on the altar of justice. Farmers, teachers, students, nurses, artists, leaders of faith, and soldiers. They were children who never grew old. They were voices silenced by bombs, by guns, by starvation, by oppression, and by the heavy hands of indifference. All of them, every soul paid the price for a freedom they were denied in life, but whose legacy they have now carved into the pages of our history. We are talking 8 million Biafrans since the arrival of the foreign invaders from Britain into our motherland in the 19th century to date. And so as we gather in reflection, we do so with new meaning because something has shifted. On November 29, 2024, the world heard a voice long suppressed. On that day, we proclaimed what has lived in our heart for generations: the restoration of the sovereign and independent state of Biafra. Over 50 million Biafrans in the homeland and diaspora voted for these in a self-referendum, whereas over 1,500 Biafrans gathered to proclaim this in Latin Finland in November 2024. This was not merely a political gesture. It was a moral reckoning. It was the acknowledgement of wounds long denied and the beginning of healing that has waited for almost 60 years to begin. This declaration is not a call to war. It is a call to dignity, a declaration of identity, a reclaiming of truth, our raw truth. Yet, even in this moment of hope, we must not forget what brought us here. We remember the Confederation War of 1901 killing thousands of Biafrans. We remember the massacre of over 50 Biafra women during a peaceful demonstration in 1929 against the introduction and imposition of new taxes by the warrant chiefs. We remember the unprovoked and sudden savage attack of 1945 in northern Nigeria, which left bodies of Biafran women, men, and children littered all over the streets, and their property worth thousands of pounds reduced to shame. We remember the 1966 unjustly and unprovoked genocidal act of extinction, where over 700,000, more than 700,000 innocent Biafrans were massacred all over Nigeria on order by the then government. It wasn't until recently, in February 2025, that one of the main actors General Ibrahim Babangida, who later became the head of state of Nigeria, came out in a book to confess that their orders and actions against Biafrans then were simply out of hatred. Their actions against Biafran then were simply out of hatred, evil intention, and impunity. He received recognition upon millions to promote his library. A lie, an atrocity they collectively perpetuated for almost 60 years. We remember the horrific attack of 1967 when our late leader, Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu declared the Republic of Biafra following Nigeria's head of state, Yakubu Gowon's sudden withdrawal from the accord they both entered in Aburi, Ghana, shortly after returning to his office in Nigeria. With intent and impunity, Nigeria and the world superpowers led by Britain aggressively descended on Biafra in the worst genocide war of our time in 1967 to 1970, during which over 5 million Biafrans got their lives shortened. Biafrans were torn apart as a result, and some were brainwashed to deny their identity in order to be spared or survive. We remember a lot of war crimes committed against the Biafra civilians during the Biafra War, blocking of humanitarian aid supply to the Republic of Biafra to starve the women and children to death. We remember the RRR, Reconciliation, Rehabilitation, Reconstruction, the measure which Nigeria vowed to implement after the war. Though our people were hopeful but not surprised that it was never implemented accordingly. On the contrary, the criminal enterprise boldly passed and implemented an inhuman economic policy to strip the people of Biafra of all what they own, both tangible assets and bank deposits. We remember that criminal and terrorist states gave only £20 to each Biafran in place of their huge wealth all over the failed state. Many Biafrans died as a result of the trauma. We remember the chilling campaign of extrajudicial executions and violent crackdown and deadly repression of pro-Biafran activists by the ZOO government using its security forces in August 2015 to August 2016, killing over 150 peaceful Biafrans. We remember that these barbaric acts of genocide on our people have never ceased. More than 1,500,000 innocent unarmed Biafrans have since, after that Biafran war, had their lives suddenly and brutally ended by the Nigeria criminal terrorist state. For the same reasons, even while in their places of worship, in their homes, farms, marketplaces, and so on. The perpetrators have since our board leaders' absence become bolder and determined. That was why they removed Onyedu Nnamdi Kanu and Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. We remember that many of us are displaced all over the world in diaspora and others internally displaced. Many thousands have lost their lives in the process of seeking refuge elsewhere. We cannot continue to run from the threat of extinction or remain in bondage in the failed criminal geographical entity, Nigeria. Forever, we cannot continue to be strangers all around the world or risk the same in our motherland. We remember the amalgamation as a marriage of two strange bedfellows, insisted upon by our hater and our aggressor. Our both leaders, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa, are being violated and have their freedom unlawfully infringed. Their absence has resulted in increased acts of intimidation and perpetration of genocidal attack on thousands of Biafrans. What great news that Biafrans have put an end to it. Now, we can start the healing process. We remember that more than 28 Biafran youths, Onyendu's parents and his family, dog, were killed during the Buhari-directed Operation Python Dance on 14 September 2017. The Nigerian state, the Nigerian president, they declare and they kill Biafrans. Nobody accounts for those lives, not anymore. We remember that many indigenous people of Biafrans are abducted without any cause, who ended up dying in the hands of the terrorist Nigeria prisons and confinements, and those kidnapped for ransom and organ harvest, or they just disappeared by the zoo terrorists in Biafra land out of hatred and plan to extinct us. Thousands of innocent Biafrans are languishing as we speak in Nigeria DSS dungeon for committing no crime, and they do not want to live in the same country. We are the November 2024 today. More than 4,000 Biafrans have been cut short by the terrorist insurgents who are sent to come and grab land at all costs. We remember that many Christian religious leaders have been kidnapped and some later released for millions of naira in ransom, whereas others ended up being killed by the Nigerian state. We remember the promise of one Nigeria, promise that became painful echoes in the ears of the grieving. We remember how we were told to move on, to forget, to remain silent. But we did not forget. We could not. How could we? No. Our children, they could not. The bones in shallow graves spoke louder than silence. The orphans and widows carried memories too heavy to bury. And the spirit of Biafra lived on, not as an idea, but as an active people and an active sovereign state today. To the matters of that journey, we say this: you are remembered. Your sacrifices has not been in vain. Will never be in vain. Can never be in vain. Today we do not mourn alone. We rise with purpose. We rise with unity, and we rise with the unshakable commitment to build a Biafra that is just, inclusive, and worthy of your blood. We will not let your memory be reduced to a footnote in someone else's story. You are the story, the very soul of our struggle, and the foundation of our future. We shall build a memorial center for you all. Yes. We are the ones that will tell the story. Yes. To our people, we say, this restoration is not the end. It is the beginning of our responsibility. We must now live the values of our heroes who died for justice, truth, peace, and self-determination. We must build schools instead of graves. We must fight ignorance, not each other. We must protect the dignity of every Biafran life, no matter the tribe, the faith, or the gender. We must protect all visitors to Biafra land. We must protect all citizens of the United States of Biafra as long as they respect the Constitution and the laws of the United States of Biafra. Yes. We are not driven by revenge. We are driven by remembrance. We are not moved by bitterness. We are not moved. We are moved by history and by a future that finally belongs to us. Let this generation be the one that fulfills the dream our ancestors died holding in their hearts. Let our children inherit not trauma but triumph. Yes. Let them grow up knowing the name Biafra, not as a wound, but as a beacon of light and hope. Yes. Biafra not as defeated, but as courageous. Yes. May the spirits of our departed rest in peace. May their names be written not only in history, but in our hearts. And may Biafra rise strong, free, and forever, faithful to the memory of those who made this moment possible. Together we remember, we rise, we are Biafra. All hail Biafra!